Hi, Dr. Ariane from the Movement Paradigm. Today we are going to talk about core function. So we're not going to talk about how strong or weak your core is, but we are going to talk about how your core is necessary for sequencing, timing, and coordination, i.e. optimal motor control, so that you can not only move efficiently, but you can generate more force and you can prevent injury and improve your performance. So let's talk a little bit about the anatomy. So the first thing that we want to think about in terms of optimizing our core function, our foundation, is we have to think about stacking or positioning the rib cage over top of the pelvis. So often we can see as we get older that we might have forward head posture. We might have our pelvis tilted forward. We might have flaring rib cage. All of these things are going to affect our core function. Now, we do want to remember that posture is going to affect respiration and respiration is going to affect posture. So they are interdependent on each other. However, as it relates to today's talk, we're thinking about the mechanics of core function. And so when we're thinking, I'm going to just turn to the side for a moment, is that when we're thinking of optimizing this pressurization system, is we want to think of, again, rib cage over top of pelvis. If for some reason our rib cage is flared, so we have this open scissors posture, then unfortunately the diaphragm won't be able to communicate with the pelvic floor. So if we can bring that position back to its, i.e. neutral position, then we are going to give ourselves this opportunity for them to communicate more effectively with each other. So let's talk about the breath first and what's happening. So when we breathe in, we're of course breathing oxygen into the base of the lungs. When the diaphragm, and think of this as our big dome-shaped muscle separating the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, it's essentially flattening. And as it comes down, it's actually compressing all of our organs here. So what happens is that we are increasing intra-abdominal pressure. This pressure has to not only be a belly breath, but we have to have lateral rib cage expansion. We have to have posterolateral expansion, so the back of the rib cage. So as this pressure is going down, 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 it goes all the way down to the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor here is actually lengthening, it's relaxing. But if we never get the pressure down there, then it's never lengthening, it's never relaxing as much as we should. So as the pressure goes down, we have a muscle called the transverse abdominis. That is eccentrically, so it's lengthening here. So think of this as our natural weight belt. It's eccentrically lengthening. When we exhale, what's going to happen is the pelvic floor contracts. This muscle is going to contract. So it's coming in. Think of it's like creating this weight belt, this compression, and our outer abdominal muscles, think our six-pack muscles, they're going to contract. So what happens is our rib cage is coming down. So to envision that, we are breathing in through the nose, expansion, side of the rib cage, all the way down to the pelvic floor, back of the rib cage. Then when we exhale, ribs come down, belly button goes in, right, for this nice core contraction. So now that you can appreciate the mechanics a little bit more, envision that when we take this breath in, so this pressure is going down, 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 all the way down to the base of the pelvis. So we want even pressure around the abdomen. And this intra-abdominal pressure is fundamental for core function. Everything we're talking about, from pelvic floor function and our bladder and bowel control to how we're able to stabilize efficiently and so on, is all associated with how well we are able to pressurize our abdomen, i.e. this beautiful cylinder. I like to think of this rhythmical dance of the diaphragm and the pelvic floor and of course all of the other muscles surrounding, but it should just be very rhythmical in terms of how this is happening. So there's lots of ways to begin to get some feedback for this. One is to use a TheraBand and bring it behind your rib cage. We want to think about this key spot is around T8, so it's kind of right underneath of our sternum. We want to think about bringing this back, Okay, so we're kind of bringing this a little bit down, back. So this will give us some feedback. We can either cross it here and have it on an angle downwards of about 12 degrees. That's the angle of our ribs. So if you cross here and you pull down, what you can do is think about breathing into the back of the rib cage. So giving that feedback with the band, breathing in, exhale, everything's contracting. Breathing into the back of the band and exhaling, contracting. So this is a really nice way to begin to experience this. The next progression here is bringing your legs up to a 90-degree angle, and at first just feeling that rib cage expansion. So what we want to do is think of right below the sternum, taking that's at your T8 level, bringing that down towards the floor. Then right below your belly button, bringing that towards the floor. From here, as you breathe in and out, you want to think about feeling the back of the rib cage here. So breath in. Are you feeling that expansion? Big breath out. Belly button in towards the spine. And what we can do here is add a little bit. There's a muscle that wraps around the rib cage called the serratus, and that serratus muscle is actually fascially attaching to the diaphragm. So if we can add just something without any resistance, but even better, something with a little bit of resistance, and adding that to the whole exercise. So breath in, and then exhaling, punching up. So what that does is further connects our core. It kind of weaves that in. It really creates a nice contraction here. Holding that for 3 seconds here. 1, 2, 3, and then relaxing. I'll do that one more time. So you find your position. So T8 towards the floor, T3 towards the floor. Take a breath in through the nose. Exhale. Punch up with your arms. Holding that 1, 2, 3. And then relaxing. So hopefully those 2 exercises were really helpful. This is 2 of many, but it's to really begin to give you some awareness of your core function, of how your rib cage and your pelvis work together in unison, and they have to for optimal core function. How all of these muscles are based on sequencing and timing and coordination. So again, our core isn't strong or weak. Holding a plank for 5 minutes does not mean your core is strong. That's not the way that we are testing the core. So really understanding this beautiful representation of how these have to work together is really the way that we're going to optimize our core function, and which ultimately means decreasing risk of injury, moving more efficiently, and optimizing your performance in life and sport. So if this was helpful, of course, make sure to give it a like, give it a share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Movement Paradigm, for weekly tips on mindset, nutrition, and movement. And if you need help with your movement journey or your health journey, you know where to find us. We would love the opportunity to help you.